What happens when the world's most powerful democracy starts undermining another nation's democracy?
We are witnessing the rise of nationalism, the pursuit of narrow interests, and the decline of common cause. We will not be deterred.
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things.
And we will not be bullied. This is the world that we must now navigate.
And in recent diplomatic developments, the European Council President Antonio Costa has reaffirmed the European Union's unwavering support for South Africa's leadership.
What if I told you that 3 billionaires who fled apartheid are now helping shape policies against their homeland? This isn't just aid money or land reform, it's about something far more dangerous. In 1948, South Africa institutionalized racial segregation through apartheid. Today, in 2025, another form of control is emerging, but this time it is wearing a different mask. Now, before I dive into Trump's shocking executive order and the EU's unexpected response, let me ask you this. How does a nation weaponize human rights against a country that's fought for decades to achieve them? Here is something most people don't realize. The 3 billionaires pushing Trump's anti-South Africa agenda, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and David Sachs, all grew up in apartheid South Africa. They left, they became successful, and now they are helping shape policies that could undermine their homeland's democracy.
Trump called it a story that the radical left media does not want to cover. The irony of it all? It's an executive order drawn up by the Trump White House that is based on fake news.
When Trump talks about expropriation, he calls it confiscation. A confiscation is when something is taken away without any due process, without any compensation. That doesn't happen in South African law.
Now let's break down what is actually happening in South Africa today. 72% of private land is still owned by less than 10% of the population. The majority who were stripped of their land during apartheid are still waiting for change. And now Trump claims this democratic nation is discriminating against white farmers. But here's what they don't want you to know about the new land reform in South Africa. The law Trump calls confiscation is actually standard practice among democracies across the world, and even the United States has similar laws. The difference? It is even surprising that South Africa's version offers more protection for landowners. Now, here is where things get interesting and concerning. Trump's executive orders isn't just about land, it's about power. And the Republicans controlling both the House and the Senate, he is essentially unstoppable. Now, let's connect the dots that no one is talking about. Elon Musk tweets about white birthrates and civil war isn't random. They are part of a bigger pattern. By 2043, America's demographics will shift dramatically. The white majority will become a minority, and this creates fear among certain power groups. But here is the twist that changes everything. Trump's executive order isn't just about South Africa, it's a test run. With Republicans controlling Congress, he can cancel aid to any nation that challenges him, reshape immigration to favor certain groups, and face domestically no consequences. Now, before we connect the dots, let's look at a revealing incident that happened just weeks ago. A senior X platform employee posted discriminatory comments against minorities. The post went viral, public pressure mounted. But what's happened next exposed something deeper about power and accountability in America. Instead of condemning racism, the Vice President J.D. Vance did something extraordinary. He publicly defended the employee and called for his rehiring. He said, and I quote, "The employee should be rehired immediately. This woke mob mentality has to end." Then Elon Musk, the world's richest man, stepped in. Not only did he agree with Vance, but he went further. Musk tweeted, "I will make sure he gets his job back. And if they have a problem with that, they can go work somewhere else." They hear he's talking about the co-workers of the guy that was fired. The guy made racist statement to his colleagues. He rehires that guy back. If they have a problem, they can go work somewhere else. You kind of understand how that feels, what that means. Now, why does this matter to our South African story? It's because it is part of a pattern. The same week Musk defended racist comments at home, he was accusing South Africa's government of racist land ownership laws. Ironical, right? But here is what is chilling. The connection runs deeper than what you might think. Look at this sequence of events. January, Musk defends racist comments. February, he calls for white South African refugees. Days later, Trump announces aid freeze. And within hours, plans for Afrikaner resettlement emerge. Now, this isn't a coincidence. It's a clear pattern. It is coordinated. Remember what I said earlier about America's changing demographics? By 2043, the current white majority will become a minority. And here's where it gets interesting. Musk has been increasingly vocal about what he calls a demographic crisis. Tweets about low white birth rates, warnings about European demographics, Trump saying that African countries are shithole countries and that more people should instead come from Norway into the US rather than countries like Africa or Haiti. Trump offering resettlement programs for Afrikaners from South Africa. Claims about civilization collapse. When you put these pieces together, a disturbing picture emerges. Same billionaires who left South Africa during apartheid are now defending racist speech, pushing for white refugee programs, and supporting policies that could destabilize their former homeland. But that is not even the main issue. Here's what should worry everyone. With Republicans in control of Congress and the Senate, Trump has unprecedented power to act on these ideologies. Think about this. The same Congress that's silent about defending racist speech, supporting discriminatory policies, undermining foreign democracies, is the only body that could hold Trump accountable. And if you think this is just about South Africa, you may be very, very wrong. Since taking office, Trump has targeted Canada. He said, "Why should we subsidize them?" Mexico, he said, Mexico is sending criminals into the US. Denmark, Gaza, he has promised to take over Gaza. There is an old African proverb that says, when a monster devours its victims, it gains their strength. With each unchallenged action, this approach gains power. But here's where the story takes another turn. While America's internal checks and balances may be compromised, the global community isn't standing idle. The European Union's support for South Africa isn't just diplomatic, it's a direct challenge to its emerging pattern of white minority resistance. The stakes couldn't be higher, and this is not just about South Africa's sovereignty or America's democracy or even the global power shifts. It's about whether we will let history repeat itself through new forms of control. As another African proverb says, until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. But this time, the lion isn't alone. The EU's support for South Africa represents more than just aid. It's a choice between democracy versus autocracy, justice versus privilege, and ultimately the future versus the past. So here's my question to you. When Trump says he wants to make America great again, which America does he mean? The one that supported apartheid or the one that helped end it? As South Africa shows us, sometimes the smallest acts of resistance can trigger the largest waves of change. What do you think? Is this the beginning of America's decline as a global moral authority? Or is it a wake-up call for democracies worldwide? This is the Strategic Lens, looking beyond the headlines to understand the true nature of power. If you haven't subscribed to this channel or liked this video, I don't know what you're waiting for. Share this video to 3 people you think would like to watch this. Join our Strategic Lens community so that we can keep connecting the dots together. Remember, Africa Today is a business channel. That's why we make videos on entrepreneurship, investing, business growth and all that. But you can't do business if you don't know what's going on around you. That's why we're talking about geopolitics. I'm Asonkwa Dries. See you in my next video. Ciao.